And good morning, everyone. I'm Leah Secondo. So glad you could join us on the Longstreth post-game show. The United States losing moments ago to Australia 3-0 this morning. Their record now in Paris 0-2-1. Joining us on the show this morning to break it all down, first, the associate head coach at Wake Forest University, a two-time Olympian, Jackie Briggs. Jackie, thanks so much for being with us on the show. And standing close by, actually, just across the way from where Jackie is this morning, taking in some youth field hockey action, is the co-founder of the PA Revolution Field Hockey Club, Jamie Pollock. Jamie, thanks so much for taking the time out on your personal time and way up in New England right now, up in Provincetown, enjoying a vacation with her family, much needed as we get set to go into the field hockey season, the head coach at Princeton in Carla Tagliente. And ladies, thanks so much for joining us as we break this one down today. Carla, I'm going to start with you first. Little bit of a slow start, but as the game progressed, what are some of the positives that you saw coming out of this match today?
It was a slow start. I think it's been the second slow start that they've had, but I do think that they kind of rectified some of the defensive problems they had. They were able to generate some more attacking opportunities, and they did draw a handful of corners. I just think they've been slow to kind of come together and a little bit. I just haven't got their footing on attack quite yet. But I do think that there's been some positives. They're a young team, and they're still fighting to the end there. So there are some good takeaways, but I think the slow start, in the opening game, this game didn't help.
Mm-hmm. Jamie, your perspective. I know you were kind of trying to shuffle what was going on this morning, getting set to get out to the pitch in Winston-Salem for some club action. But you've seen a lot of these players and helped develop a lot of these players, being in the hotbed of hockey in PA. Just some of your thoughts on how the players have developed to this point and where you think the team needs to go after watching this very active and long, as Jackie, I think, brought it up during the broadcast, Australian squad.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really exciting to see them just on the stage, gaining the experience and having the opportunity to play at this level. Obviously, they play in the pro league, but the Olympics is just a whole new stage. And I think the opportunity for them to be there, what the message they're sending down the pipeline to the younger generations is that they want to continue to be here year after year. It's not just a once and done, or when we host, we get that bid. So I think that's really exciting. I think that they need to play to their strengths, which is their speed on the outside, getting the ball in Maddie Zimmer's hands and allowing her to do her thing and use her speed and really attack. We didn't have nearly as many circle entries as the Australian team did. So I think we need to try to generate more in our attacking 25 and create more opportunities in the circle to get on the board and just continue to build that confidence. I feel like when they're going to score in more of these matches, their confidence is going to build. And I think that's going to be huge for them going into tomorrow's game and moving forward and hopefully advancing from pool play.
Mm-hmm. Carla, you had mentioned during the broadcast, I thought it was kind of interesting that you actually were in the stands for two Olympics and watching Jackie. Was that correct in saying that? And the perspective now being on the other side as a coach with so much international experience that you've had, what's the feeling from the player standpoint to the coach's standpoint now, especially with Beth Yeager in the lineup for the U.S. squad?
Yeah, I had just mentioned, watching Jackie in 2012, I think, there was a little bit of they were a young team, much like this team. And there was a lot of uncertainty coming out of that London Olympics, what would happen in the next 4 years. And the way they came together and grew from that experience with that young core group was impressive. And I think that's really where this group is at. There's obviously frustration is still going to set in. I think the key for the coaching staff is to really reframe their focus and keep them positive and keep the culture positive, because this is what's happening right now, and we all want to win yesterday, but I do think there's a lot of potential in this group if they can cultivate it.
Jackie, you're kind of watching from two perspectives, right? The mentality of the keeper perspective, and then you've spent a lot of time with the U.S. keepers ahead of these Olympic matches. Try to take us through the visualization of what Kelsey is looking at as an attack comes down, such as Australia so lethal and quick. They were quick once they got that movement towards goal.
Yeah, they definitely attack fast. They're a fast team in general, and they look to throw numbers forward as soon as they win the ball. So a lot of what Kelsey and Jenny, when she's in there, what they're looking at is they're trying to assess the danger before it even happens. So she's looking at the entire field of play, and she's assessing, okay, if we turn the ball over right now, what is the danger? And that it happens quickly. So they're thinking 10 steps ahead really of what's about to happen, and not so much as it's happening. They're already putting out other fires. But yeah, just assessing, can I come out? Can I slow the play down? Do I have a defender close enough to slow the play down where I can stay back and hold? And then constantly scanning, because like I said, they're throwing people forward. Australia is just committing numbers forward. So they're showing up far post, especially when they start driving that baseline. So they've got to know where people are. But then when it's near the circle, in the circle, they're focused solely on the ball and doing their job to just trust the defenders are going to mark, and they got the shot coming at cage.
Mm-hmm. Jamie, get back with you here now. The shots, the corners, USA has not been able to garner a goal off of a corner yet this Olympics. And thinking about that piece of the game as a coach, what's the percentage you're trying to get, and especially not so much at your level, but the mentality maybe percentage-wise of a completion rate at the international level?
Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of talked about it as the game was playing on. I feel like they just need one to roll in for them to get that confidence in their corner execution. And I think that's at every level, right? You practice corners so much during your lead up to whatever you're playing in. And I think that having it fall in gameplay is huge. It builds that confidence in each other, in your team, in the practice you've put into it. I would love to see them get into the match against Great Britain and have a couple fall for them, not just one, but a couple fall one after the other, and build that momentum in their corner execution. I mean, I know for us at our level, we'd like to see 30 or 40% execution at the level we're playing at. I would think at the international level, they want to at least see a minimum of 25% of their corner execution coming out with a goal on the other side. So I think that they definitely have some room for growth there, and maybe, changing up what they're doing on their corners to see some variety and show some variety in what they have to offer.
Any of you take this question? Maddie Zimmer's play throughout these Olympics have really been inspirational, I think, at both ends of the field. Maddie's maturity, and Jamie, there's a relationship there with the family. But again, please, anybody kind of step in here and talk about the way that she has kind of fired this team up, and how her play can help her teammates, maybe with the confidence with the last two on the line here.
She's definitely been a bright spot attack-wise for them out on the right. I think other teams have had trouble kind of handling her and figuring her out. I thought Australia did okay today, but she was still able to create some opportunities. But I mean, you're probably looking at her generating, just with her speed and her skill on the right side, they're generating over 80% of their corners. So, they've got to look to get other people involved and be a little bit more multidimensional on attack, I think. And I think the big opportunity for them for growth is just their attack transition. And we talked about it, behind the scenes when we were all watching together. Just their decision making. They look to play forward quickly, which is great, but there's a little bit of panic and sometimes missed opportunity.
Jackie, you love your defense, right? And for 2 games in a row now, we have seen some super defensive saves. Hoffman did it last game, and I think it was Jaeger actually that may have come up with a big goal line save on this game. A little bit about the communication that has to be had prior to a corner being played, and then the communication on the fly as it happens. Kind of take us through that.
Yeah, well, they've practiced so many of these and they really take pride in their corner defense for sure. And I know there's a lot of confidence that Kelsey's going to save most of what's coming at her. And so I think they just gain a lot of confidence from that. And they know their role. Like Ashley playing post, like she knew, okay, if it goes down low and they try to play it up to the other side, like I'm here, and she was ready for it. And that's not an accident. It's because they practice it all the time and they're comfortable being in there. And they're low. Like, I mean, I tell kids these days all the time, like if you want playing time, you've got to find yourself on corner attack and corner defense, and you've got to love it. And coaches love when kids come in and just like own that corner defense or attack role, whatever they're in. But you can just see like they're comfortable back there defending corners, and you can see how much attack we get from it. And their mind frame is like, look, I know we're under the pump here with defending this corner, but we're going to come up with it. We're going to outlet it quickly, and we're going to come down your throat and score. And they've shown 2 games in a row now. They have that threat. So I know other teams for sure are going to be looking at that and saying, yeah, we might get some corners, but we've got to be careful because, USA defends well and they can come right back at us super fast.
Mm-hmm. Jamie, at coaching at the youth level, what's one of the things that field hockey is such a different sport compared to like softball, where you're going to play first base or shortstop or the outfield. When you're talking to these players and trying to develop their skills to hopefully be up, and we just lost Jamie for a second. So while we get her back, I'm going to throw it to you, Jackie and Carla. Developing a player, and as a youth, what skills are we trying to get them mentality wise so that they're versatile in all positions, maybe not just focusing on being a defender?
Well, I mean, skill wise, just like the basics, like I think the basics can never be done enough. And even at the highest level, they're practicing the basics every day. So body shape, where you're trying to force the opponent if you're defending, just as simple as like how your hips are turned facing and where you're trying to force that player. And then just being patient in defense and your footwork, knowing when to get low and make that tackle versus staying a little bit more upright, running the ball off people. It's just the more simple you can make it, the better you're going to be. I know we want to go for the home run and always win the ball, but patience is really the key, and footwork and body shaping, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Jamie, I don't know if you could hear that question before. Carla, go ahead. Why don't you? I can see you unmuted there. Go ahead, and then we'll get back to Jamie.
Yeah, I was just going to add, there's been a bigger emphasis, I think, in the last 48 years of gameplay and executing it under pressure, executing at speed. And I think that's where I think we've grown a lot is, just having these younger players execute at a higher tempo. That's, I think, the bigger gap between, that next step to play at the next level internationally.
Jamie, now that you're back with us, what we were talking about was developing a player, and when you're helping them early on, being that versatile player, so the mentality isn't this way, that as time progresses for coaches looking at them at the next level, having that versatility. How do you have those conversations with the youth players and their parents too? Unfortunately lost Jamie again. I'll tell you what, we're going to step aside. And when we come back, we will be back with more. We're going to break down a little bit more this match today. Then we're going to look ahead, because it's a back-to-back event for the U.S. squad as they prepare now to try to hold on and garner one of the top 4 spots in pool play to move on to the quarterfinals. So stay with us. We'll be back with much more after these messages. Welcome back on the Longstreth post-game show. Leah Secondo, Carla Tagliente, Jackie Briggs, Jamie Pollock with you today as we break down the U.S.'s 3-0 loss to Australia. They move on. Tough turnaround here, guys. 24 hours on that hot turf in Paris. Everybody with one goal right now. to make it to the quarterfinals, just get out of pool play. Jamie, you first. What does the U.S. squad need to do to kind of settle themselves in and really come out with some firepower tomorrow?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is just remembering it's the same game they've been playing, and they have been on like a momentum high coming into the Olympics. They crushed it in India, and they need to just get back to the game that they were playing there and just build on that confidence and that momentum and just play free. They looked tentative and a little hesitant today, and I think they need to just play free and just have that trust in their teammates and their abilities and know what they can do bringing it into the game tomorrow.
Jackie, Carla, you want to elaborate on that at all? Or?
Yeah. There's still a lot to be played for here. The way that this is structured and set up, so they're not out of it. I think there's still a big carrot in front of them, and I think the fact that they're still alive is motivation enough. So I think reframing and focusing on what's in front of them. The two teams they have left in the pool, I think, are they're very manageable for them. Great Britain hasn't had a great tournament so far, and I think. I think you just need to reframe and just refocus here on what's ahead. But I think, finishing fourth in the pool is very attainable.
Yeah, I agree. I know this team, like I help coach them every once in a while, mainly the goalies, but they're determined and they're, along with being young, like they're not afraid. So I know they're going to come out hard this next game. I know they're going to put all this behind them. Like what happened. Now all we can do is move forward and do our best the next game. And they just need one or two goals to fall, I think, to really just get that momentum moving. I mean, if you look at their statistics before today, we've had a ton of shots, a lot of opportunities, and they just need to convert just to get some confidence, okay, we are in this, like we're fighting as hard as we can. It's just not clicking right now. And I'd love to see them just work each other into the game, just maybe string some more passes together. Again, bring people with them. So it's not one person trying to do everything and earn a corner, by themselves. Like once they start connecting a little bit together, physically with passes and whatnot, I think they're going to just start this trajectory forward of okay, we're right back in it. And so they just need that little spark.
Totally need that little spark right now. The 8 matches today, total. Of those 8 matches, 4 now are complete. Argentina with a 2-1 win over Spain. Great Britain, their first win. They're now 1-2, 2-1 over South Africa. Again, as you guys just mentioned, South Africa is up on the docket, so that could be important. We don't want to get to goal differential, but who knows, right? That could also play a part in it here. Germany, no surprise, they're 2-1 now in Pool A, with a 5-1 victory over France. And of course, Australia shutting out the US 3-0. Belgium and Japan and the Netherlands and China. Is China a surprise here? I know they're taking on the beast today in the Netherlands, but some of your guys' thoughts on the Netherlands-China matchup.
I mean, this is the Olympics. I don't think you can say that anyone's a sure win. Like all the teams that are there deserve to be there. And Allison Annen's still coaching China. Like she knows exactly how to beat the Dutch. If anybody, she can come up with a great game plan. And I know regardless of the outcome, it's going to be a fantastic game to watch. So I can't wait.
Yeah, I think it's too soon to tell right now who's going to really rise to the top. And I think once you get out of pool play, it's another story. So, but Pool A is pretty deep. I think. So we'll see. I think the matchup today between those two will be interesting for sure. There's a lot of backstory there.
Absolutely. A couple folks had said to me that they felt that the U.S.'s pool was tougher than Pool A. Jamie, do you feel that way?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I think going back to what Jackie and Carla are saying, it's the Olympics. All of these women on this stage are prepared, and it's anyone's game at any time. And I think that there's dangerous teams on both sides of pool play for sure.
Carla, you've had the pleasure of coaching Beth Yeager, and she's going to come back and be your captain here shortly, coming up with our season. Thank goodness the season is just around the corner. What type of skills, could be on or off the field skills, have you seen Beth improve on through her progression with Princeton?
I think, I think with her, you also have to talk about her progression with the US side too and her maturity there. And I think they've kind of went hand in hand. And, Beth a few years ago compared to Beth now, I think she's matured a lot. I think her mindset, the way she approaches the game is very different. She always brings a lot to the table, but it's kind of getting her to slow down a little bit and think differently and pace herself a little bit, that she's really grown the most in. But yeah, we're just looking forward to getting her back. And she's, I think, had the benefit of playing a lot of different positions in this past year, from screen, outside midfield. She moved up front to play forward. She went to left back. So, I think that's been healthy for her to get different perspective. But we're looking forward to getting her back, and so is the team.
Jackie, your story with the U.S. squad is interesting in your two appearances at the Olympics. When you got the call, I think is a great story. And can you share that with our viewers?
Are you talking about the Pan Ams in
Quick turn.
2011?
Yeah, the turnaround and here you go.
Yeah, so I was an alternate in 2011 for the Pan American Games, which is our Olympic qualifier, and it was held in Guadalajara, Mexico. So it wasn't too far, so the alternates did not travel. So I went back to the East Coast. We were training in San Diego, and I was actually at Carowinds, about to go on our first roller coaster in line in the evening, after dark. And I got a phone call from our manager saying, we need you to get to the airport right now. And I was like, I can't. I don't even have my equipment. I'm like an hour away from the house. I don't have my passport. That's in San Diego, which is a whole nother story. But we were able to FedEx I flew out next morning, first thing. They FedExed my passport from San Diego to the Houston airport. It somehow found me. Don't ask how that happened. I have no idea. Divine intervention, I guess. And then I got to Mexico and had to wait 24 hours to find out if I was going to stay or if I was going to be shipped right back home, until they evaluated Amy at the time, who had an injury. And if anyone knows Amy, she's super tough. So she was going to keep going until someone told her, you don't have a leg anymore. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to go home. This was a 24-hour trip to Mexico. And next morning they're like, nope, get on the bus. You're coming to training. Amy has to go home. You're in. And I had 30 caps at the time. So that was crazy. And we ended up winning the first ever Pan American Games and qualifying for the Olympics. So one of my favorite memories, just the way it all happened. And I definitely did not deserve to be there, but I was fortunate enough to get an opportunity and was able to step up and help us win the first gold medal. So yeah, that kind of started my international journey.
That's awesome. A great story. And I'm just thinking here, watching here, two of the three of you are in the spot where our national championship will be for Division I this upcoming year. And I know, Carla, you want to get back there and change the tune of what happened last time you all were there. And certainly this might be the squad for you coming into this season. We have to pay a few more bills, so we are going to step aside here for a moment and be back to wrap this one up after these messages. Stay with us. Welcome back to the post-game show. The United States, unfortunately, losing today to Australia 3-0. They are looking to try to get one of those coveted points, get enough points to jump into the quarterfinals. Some work to be done, ladies. Up next with this quick turnaround tomorrow, taking on Great Britain. Jamie, what does Great Britain pose to this U.S. squad?
I mean, I think that the U.S. just needs to stay focused on their game, and really not take away or not focus on who their opponent is. They need to get back to playing their hockey, their style of hockey, attacking, get more circle entries, converting on their penalty corners, and just really playing with the speed on the outside. And like we've discussed already, getting more people involved in each play, stringing more passes together, and moving up the field as a team and getting on the board.
Absolutely. Actually, goals could be a difference here. So certainly getting a few on the board. And you brought up corners. The U.S. actually outcornered Australia today 5-3. So again, we're looking for good points to move ahead on. Certainly one of the areas, but now the conversion rate needs to change just a little bit on that. And the time of possession, I was kind of surprised by this. And tell me if you guys aren't. It was 51 to 49% time of possession favoring Australia. Felt a little bit lopsided as the game began, but this number is what kind of surprised me. Did it surprise you, Carla?
Yeah, a little bit when you say it, but I think when you analyze Australia, they're very attacking, they're very fast, and they defend with a lot of pressure. So I think their time with the ball is a lot of counterattack, quick attacks, and then they set back, and then they go again, they defend, and and then they'll be back on attack. So they're not a big possession team, like you'll see from some other squads. So not when you say it, and I think about it, not entirely surprising. But they just attack with so many numbers so quickly and in big waves. So, I think that pressure is really what broke us today.
Jackie, post game speech. Do you think you've been close to David working with the team? Post game speech that he had with the players after this one today.
Yeah, I mean, they fought hard. It just didn't fall for us today. And I think what's important, it's a quick turnaround. So we got to take 1 or 2 points from this game, move on. Where can we grow? And to your point, what did we do well? We're earning a lot of corners. We're getting a lot of chances. We actually do have almost half of possession. So it's just a matter of now what we're going to do with that going forward. And we've already said it. Let's keep possession, string some passes together, get the momentum, get 1 or 2 goals to fall, and then just don't stop. And I think it's important to know that even though GB hasn't had their best tournament so far, they're going to come out swinging hard tomorrow. I think they've got everything to play for as well, and they've got a lot of experienced players on their team. So I would not be surprised if they're going to come out hard with a lot of pressure from the get-go, and I'm sure the U.S. will be prepared for that. But I would expect that from them for sure.
Mm-hmm. Jamie?
Yeah, I mean, I think just what Carla and Jackie have said, I think, David's message to them has to be the positives. It's got to be what they've been doing well and continuing to build on that, and just seeing the success of that from game to game to game, and just creating that momentum, building their confidence, and speaking life into them that they can do this.
Mm-hmm. Carla, anything to add on that?
No, just need to have a short-term memory sometimes and move on. And we've said it all, but there's a lot to play for, and if you dial back to the Spain game, that was a pretty good result. Spain
Right.
isn't in, it's just not between US, GB and South Africa. I think Spain's under some pressure too to get some results in there. So I think it's anyone's game, and they really, they need to come out and get going quickly. If they get some momentum and get a goal on the board, I think they'll be okay.
Mm-hmm. Hey, overall thoughts on you guys? That way, we've all basically seen everybody, and obviously everybody knows the history of everybody. Right now, who do you feel has the inside edge here, tongue in cheek, for medals in this Olympic Games?
I mean, I think you can never count the Netherlands out. They're just a powerhouse over and over and over again. And they're fun to watch. I thought Argentina was a spark, in that first game we played against them. And I would put some money on both of them at this point in the game if I had to.
Absolutely.
I think a sleeper for me would be Belgium. And I do think Australia is playing some of the best hockey I've seen them play in a long time. So, let's see how they come out of Pool B here.
And what I love about the Olympics, I don't know if anyone watched the women's rugby sevens yesterday, but what an upset. And we can assume that these teams are going to make it. But again, it's the highest stage. And sometimes that pressure does crazy things to people, and you just never know. And I think that's what makes sports so great. So, we've said all the teams that potentially could medal, but, I'm always in there for an upset. So I'm cheering for the underdogs, and let's see something crazy happen.
Absolutely. Hey, coaches, thanks so much for joining us. We know your time is so valuable this time of year. Jamie trying to spend a little time with her family, but still around the hockey season. Jackie, a young family. The season's around the corner for you guys. We'll see you down the road. Carla, so glad to see you again. And we'll see you during the field hockey season. That's a little hedge of a game that's going to be coming up with the regular season involving Princeton that I'll be involved on. And thanks so much today. Really, truly, for joining us. Appreciate all of your time. Now, if you're watching, we could continue on here. We have two more broadcasts, at least two more broadcasts, as the U.S. squad hopes to work things out and get into those quarterfinals. So remember that you'll be able to go on to Longstreth's site on YouTube, watch our post-game show following the U.S. games, the last two games of the pool play coming up. Tomorrow's game is at 11:45 against Great Britain. So figure about 30 minutes following the end of that game, we will have our guests tomorrow breaking down the U.S. and Great Britain as well. Folks, thanks so much for joining us on the Longstreth post-game show. We appreciate your time today. Go out and make it a great day, whatever you have left to do, and continue to grow our wonderful sport of field hockey. Take care.